Now, the 35th edition of the Africa Cup of Nations is officially underway. The tournament got their campaign started on a positive note. They beat Comoros, the host beat Comoros 2-0 in Rabat last night. So to talk about this, we have our sports reporter and SABC commentator, Khanyiso Tshwaku. I was teasing him because I said to him that I thought I was going to see a lovely Moroccan backdrop, but we know this bookshelf all too well, and he says we can't be making jokes so early in the morning. Khanyiso, okay, what did you make of that opening match? I thought it was fantastic. Like I said, that hologram really stood out for me. Imagine what it must have been like in the stadium, and then they gave us good football afterwards.
Good morning, Stacey. Good morning to the viewers. Yes, I mean, look, Morocco wants to put on a show. They want to put on a show that everyone will remember. They want to put on an on-field show that will hopefully ease the 50 years of pain that has seen them not win the African Cup of Nations. Look, I think Morocco left a few opportunities on the floor. I mean, there was that missed penalty. That should have been converted. I think 2-0 was probably a fair reflection of the struggles that Morocco had in terms of actually converting the opportunities. But again, Comoros actually gave as good as they got. They could have done better with the opportunities, but I think Morocco were ultimately the better side on the night. And I think going forward, they'll probably now ease the pressure because I think the key part for Morocco was just getting through this game unscathed, and that's exactly what happened for them in Rabat today.
Yeah, I mean, Ashraf Hakimi shaking off injury, but we had Diaz there. He won the Total Energies Man of the Match, and then obviously that scintillating goal there from El Kabi. What did you make of that?
Well, look, it's already raised the bar for what the goal of the tournament will be. But in losing some size at the back, I think Morocco will have a slight concern. I mean, it's not nice losing your key defender so early in the game. And I think for their hopes, they'll hope that at least if he misses one game, that's at the most and not be ruled out for an entire tournament. But look, again, it was one of those games where Morocco were able to create opportunities, but they're going to need a fair bit of reasonable fortune, especially with those two goals that they scored. Those are two very good goals. I mean, an El Kabi goal has raised the bar for what the goal of the tournament will look like. But then, look, I mean, as South Africans, we are looking forward to what's going to transpire. In Marrakesh later tonight at 7 p.m.
Yep, let's talk about that actually. Where are goals coming from? Many people talking about an out of sorts Lyle Foster. Evidence there's a striking option. And obviously South Africa take on Angola with quite a good history between the two teams, favouring South Africa in the last 5 encounters, 2 wins, 3 draws there, I think. But there are also 2 important other encounters taking place tonight. Mali, Zambia, Egypt, Zimbabwe as well.
Indeed, and I think the one that we'll be keeping an eye on is Egypt, Zimbabwe, because I guess South Africa have been guilty of being slightly slow starters in AFCON. You remember how they started in the 2019 edition. You remember how they started in the previous edition, where in losing to Mali, they set themselves back, but fought back well towards end of the group stage, and that kick-started the run to the semi-finals. One hopes that South Africa will get out of the blocks a bit more quicker, but also pace themselves through the tournament, because the last thing you want is having Morocco, for example, where in the Cote d'Ivoire edition they got out of the blocks quite early and then came badly and stuck in the round of 16 against South Africa. So I think the key part for South Africa was one, just finding the goal scoring solution for tonight's game, and also just making sure that they manage themselves well through the game, because look, I mean, ideally Hugo Broos wants to make this a 6-7 game tournament, and that 6-7 game tournament is looking at semi-final, final at the most. But today's game is probably the most important one. Yes, there's Egypt, then there's Zimbabwe, but again, ticking off your first box with a decent performance is where every tournament starts.
I think Egypt has always also had, like Morocco and other nations like South Africa, always had this pressure on them. But I think focus is going to be on that match, given what's happened with Mo Salah, comments around AFCON, comments around his form, and also the comments around what he means to his nation as well.
It's unfortunate for Mo Salah that regardless of the legendary stuff that he's done for Liverpool at the moment, there is a feeling that exists that he has not quite showed up in the same manner for his national team, which I kind of find to be a bit unfair, because sometimes I feel that African football came a bit of a continental dogfight where it's never all about the style. It's always about the substance. And I think there's always you find a mixture of that in African football, where you need to find a line between style and substance. And I mean, it's probably one of the things that makes the AFCON tournament quite a wonderful one, because we can always get a team that has decided to put substance above style over everything else, and they fight through to like these are quarterfinal stages and as an inherited nation. But I think Egypt have proper AFCON pedigree, but I think it's just a case of are they going to be able under Hossam Hassan to pull together. I mean, even if you remember when they won the three-peat between 2006 and 2008, Egypt was all about style, all about substance and less about style. And I think if they're able to revert to that, I mean, with the quality of players that they have, it shouldn't be an issue for them. But again, I mean, Zimbabwe, who showed us what they're capable of in the World Cup qualifiers, if that's Zimbabwe we see, especially when they played against South Africa in particular, we hope that they'll put up quite a good fight.
Yeah, and you know, many times football is also about the objectivity and people subjectively looking at Salah's form and then saying that it's not where it should be, but yet his work rate, his ethic, his distance on the pitch is still very much similar to his previous days. But one more question I want to ask you before I let you go, because I suppose it's fringe stories around AFCON. It's moving to a 4-year format. Patrice Motsepe announcing that there's an increased $10 million US for the prize money. Your thoughts around that?
Look, change is sometimes necessary. I mean, as much as we love a 2-year AFCON, I think sometimes it can be a bit of an overkill. Where now, if it can be dovetailed, if it can be reasonably dovetailed in the form of where it's played in a Euro year, it doesn't actually clash with World Cup qualifiers. And also, I think it starts to set a place in the calendar, for example, because I mean, we've seen AFCON move from a June, July, August tournament to a December, January, February. So it hasn't quite had a set place, which is understandable considering the climatic dynamics and the size of this continent, because June, July weather in South Africa is going to be very different to June, July weather above the equator.
Yeah.
So, I mean, probably one of the challenges that the AFCON's always had, just because of the size of the continent, because we are not in a position to say, like in Europe, where you know that the weather from Spain to Ukraine and Russia is pretty much the same in June, July, August. Yes, there's that challenge. But I look, I mean, again, the prize money increase is very important, because African football has a very, very, very big commercial value that it still needs to unlock. I mean, you can look at how the European teams, for example, have been complaining about the release of players, because they know that they're not just an important part of their on-field mechanism, it's also an important part of the off-field commercial mechanisms.
Completely agree. Khanyiso, always great chatting to you. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. We've been talking about AFCON, that opening ceremony, the opening match as well. South Africa taking on Angola tonight as well. Let us know what you think about that.